I told y'all what I seen and what happened to me at Diddy house, and y'all finally finna see what the really been going on. His lawyer that he's done paid millions of dollars to fight his case has withdrawn from fighting the case. You wanna know why he's withdrawing from fighting the case?
The courtroom drama surrounding Diddy's ongoing legal battle just took an unexpected turn. What was supposed to be a typical day of hearings became a moment of shocking revelation. The defense attorney, Anthony Rico, one of the most respected legal figures, stood up in the middle of the proceedings and asked to be dismissed from his role in Diddy's case.
On Friday, a surprising announcement came down. One of his defense attorneys suddenly quits the case. I'm Elizabeth Milner with Law and Crime. Now, this particular defense attorney's reason for quitting wasn't really a reason at all, making his departure a lot more puzzling.
Shortly after Diddy's arrest, his defense team grew when he stacked on 2 more defense attorneys to join Mark Agnifilo and Tinny Garagos.
This wasn't your typical resignation behind closed doors. It was public, and it caught everyone in the courtroom off guard. The reason for this abrupt departure wasn't initially clear, but the impact was immediate and profound. As one of Diddy's top attorneys, Rico was part of a dream team assembled to help the music mogul fight the charges against him. His withdrawal raised questions. Why would a seasoned attorney like him, with decades of experience, suddenly leave? What had changed? The answer was more unsettling than anyone could have predicted. Moments before Rico made his announcement, an explosive audio recording was played in the courtroom. It was a grainy but hauntingly clear recording of a woman's voice, frantic and terrified, pleading for someone to stop. A man's voice, allegedly Diddy's, could be heard responding coldly. The sounds that followed were raw and disturbing, creating a silence in the room that could be felt. The atmosphere shifted drastically, with even Diddy, who is known for his composure, looking shaken. The content of that audio recording was so damning that it left Rico with no choice but to walk away.
Diddy Combs' legal team is getting a little smaller as the rap mogul's defense team prepares for his May trial on trafficking charges. His attorney, Anthony Rico, respectfully but regrettably requested to be dismissed from his role, according to documents obtained by NBC News. Rico, who is one of 6 attorneys on the case, requested in the February 21st filing to withdraw as representation because, quote, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs, consistent with the ABA standards for criminal justice. The motion continues, quote, while I'm aware that the local rule requires that an application for withdrawal of counsel is supported and granted only upon a showing by affidavit.
This wasn't a case of personal differences or legal strategy. It was about something far more serious, something that posed an ethical conflict for Rico. His motion to withdraw stated that, after hearing the recording, he could no longer represent Diddy, as continuing would compromise his integrity as an attorney. His decision to step down was not taken lightly, and it had significant implications for Diddy's case. For those watching, it was clear that this was no ordinary legal battle. The stakes were higher than anyone could have imagined. The prosecution had been building a case for months, with wiretaps, surveillance, and testimonies all painting a troubling picture. But the audio recording was the game changer. It suggested that Diddy was not just a celebrity caught in a scandal, but a man involved in something darker. A hidden empire built on fear and control. This revelation cast doubt on everything Diddy's defense team had worked for. They had always argued that the events in question were consensual, but the audio painted a very different picture. It was no longer just a case of legal tactics and courtroom strategies. It was about whether Diddy's empire was built on something far more sinister. The departure of Anthony Rico wasn't an isolated incident. He was the second attorney to leave Diddy's defense team since his arrest. Another high-profile attorney had walked away even before the trial had begun.
Not give an explanation, but said it would not affect Combs' May 5th federal trial date. Rico, who was retained by Combs in September, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Combs has 5 other attorneys on his team, end quote. Let me say this. Anytime an attorney backs out, that's not a good look. Now, there could be a variety of reasons as to why this happened, and we all get that. I understand that. But anytime an attorney backs out, particularly of a high-profile case like this, is not a good look, and I'm going to tell y'all why. Because if you are an attorney, the more acclaim your client has, the more popularity your client has, the more recognition and notoriety your client has, the more you benefit from a positive outcome in favor of that client. So that client...
These withdrawals raised even more questions. What was going on behind closed doors that we weren't privy to? What had these attorneys seen or heard in the sealed court files that had made them abandon the case? Rico's departure was significant not just for its shock value, but for its timing.
Scrolling for the latest Diddy update that people can't stop talking about. So y'all, now just 3 months before Diddy's trial is set to start, one of his attorneys, this man Anthony Rico, has entered a bid to withdraw from being Diddy's counsel. In his filing, he said, although he feels he has provided Diddy with the highest level of representation, under no circumstances can he continue to serve as counsel for Sean Combs. Now, while Mr. Rico says there are sufficient reasons as to why he's withdrawing and why he feels this way, those reasons are protected by attorney-client privilege, so he can't go into details. But again, the fact he no longer wants to represent Diddy, and this is just 3 months before everything's about to start, yeah, it's definitely a big deal. Now, I will say there shouldn't be any reason to push the trial back, as Diddy's lead attorney, Mark Agnifilio, is staying on as his lead counsel, so there won't be any lapse in representation. But Mr. Rico, on the other hand, wants out.
The loss of a key attorney so close to the trial date raised concerns about the trial's progress. But despite this, Diddy still had a strong legal team in place. Mark Agnifilio, his lead attorney, remained committed to defending him, and the trial would proceed as planned. However, Rico's exit left a mark, one that would resonate throughout the remainder of the proceedings. Rico's decision to withdraw was unprecedented, especially given his extensive experience in defending high-profile clients. He had handled cases involving death penalties and some of the most notorious figures in the world.
Do you know how bad this is? That lawyer used to represent Bin Laden. After September the 11th, the American government took Bin Laden, the Bin Ladens, to court, and he was one of their lawyers. And people said, how could you represent such people? And he said, the judge, the jury, they say if people are guilty. That's not my job. My job is to make sure there's a due process, to make sure their rights are observed, to make sure there's no funny business. He works with Diddy for a while, and afterwards he says, nah, mate, I'm out. I'm gone. They said, no, it's not your job to say if he's guilty or not. He said, under no circumstances, after I've got to hang out with the man, I got to see, under no circumstances can I work with this man. They said, we'll give you lots of money, you'll be famous. He said, it's not worth it. Bin Laden, I will represent, but Diddy, no way. Diddy is officially cooked. Yes or no?
Yet here he was, walking away from one of the biggest trials of the decade. Why? The answer seemed clear. He couldn't defend someone he believed was involved in something deeply troubling.
One of P. Diddy's defense counsels filed a motion on Friday stating that he wants to withdraw from P. Diddy's case. He put in his motion to withdraw to the judge that in no circumstance can he continue. And a lot of people, I've seen videos on it, have talked about that. Oh my gosh, this defense attorney must be so disgusted with the evidence that the man, his name's Anthony Rico, who represented Osama bin Laden, this must be so much worse that he would want to withdraw from the case. Well, these are my thoughts on it as an attorney. First of all, P. Diddy has a team of 6 different attorneys, and they are from a few different firms. This guy, Anthony Rico, was from a different firm. My thought is that he's not the lead attorney. He just didn't like the strategy of the lead guy, and he didn't like being number 2. He didn't like being told what to do, and he didn't like their strategy, or he wasn't even really getting a lot of work, so he wasn't even able to bill a lot on the case because he wasn't the guy that was being telling people what to do. And this case is getting so much bad press. I mean, these defense attorneys are going to have to be very strategic with PR to make sure that this case does not tank their career. And that attorney could just say, it's not worth it. I'm not the lead attorney. I'm not going to get all the glory. I'm not going to be able to determine what's going forward. So I want to withdraw. We still have to hear that the judge is going to let him withdraw, which I'm pretty sure the judge will, because there's 5 other attorneys that are taking this case and going to get it to trial.
The case continued to unravel, with new details emerging almost daily. One of the most shocking claims was that there was more audio, more recordings that had not yet been played in court. If true, these tapes could make the already explosive case even more devastating.
Lawyers can't just quit a case when it's on the trial calendar. A judge has to approve it, and they almost never do. So why did a federal judge let Diddy's lawyer walk away? When a case is this far along, there's basically only 3 ways out. 1, the client is forcing the lawyer to do something fraudulent and criminal. 2, there's a total collapse of communication. And 3, a serious ethical violation has arisen, or there's some fundamental disagreement between the two. The lawyer must certify to the facts that constitute good cause to withdraw and that it would not adversely affect his client. And I don't see that here. So why is this judge not following the law? They must have seen something so egregious that they're just letting this lawyer out of the case without him explaining why. And I've never seen that in 20 years of practice in law. So what's really going on here? What's the legal defense that makes this lawyer, who's defended terrorists, so offended?
The thought of more damning evidence sent a chill through everyone involved. For Diddy, the trial was no longer just a legal challenge. It was a public spectacle, with his reputation on the line and his empire crumbling around him. The media had a field day, with social platforms exploding with theories and commentary. Diddy's image, once untouchable, was now being questioned in ways it had never been before. The most pressing question now was whether Diddy could recover from this. Legal experts pointed out that having an attorney walk out mid-trial was a major red flag. It wasn't just about the optics, it was about the message it sent. If someone like Anthony Rico, who had handled the most difficult cases imaginable, could no longer stand by Diddy, what did that say about the case? In the midst of all this, Diddy sat in the courtroom, his expression unreadable. There were no tears, no outbursts. Just a man who had perhaps realized that no amount of money or legal prowess could fix the situation he found himself in. The evidence was speaking louder than anything his defense team could argue. And with every passing day, more of his empire seemed to be falling apart. The courtroom drama surrounding Diddy is a reminder that even the most powerful figures in society are not immune to the consequences of their actions. As the trial continues, the public will be watching closely, waiting to see how this high-stakes legal battle unfolds. For now, the question remains: how much longer can Diddy's defense team hold together in the face of such overwhelming evidence? This case is far from over, and the most explosive moments are still ahead. With more audio potentially on the horizon, Diddy's fate hangs in the balance. If even his top defenders are walking away, what does that say about the strength of his case? Only time will tell.